All right, y'all. So my first thought with this fight was Alexa Thainara better make a big statement. She better make a big statement. She was coming in there being all extra, with the antics at the face off, the dance to the cage, just taking her time and doing all this extra stuff. I know that's in her personality because I saw her on the Dana White's Contender Series, but still, man, I was like, all right, you doing all this, smiling and showing your teeth and everything, and doing these dances and stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's get to the cage and do some work. And got to give her credit. She went in there and made a big statement. Of course, the opponent she was fighting, Molly McCann, wasn't really like this huge statement, but still, she went in there and got the finish like she should have. And that's the one thing I said. All right, I'm gonna do all this extra, go in there and finish her, and she did. So, yeah, Molly McCann, last fight, Alexa Thainara, first fight in the UFC, and she submits her via rear naked choke. So, I mean, my thoughts on this one, Molly McCann to me, hasn't really looked the same over the past few years. If that means anything to people. I mean, as far as me just watching her as a fighter, I've seen, some things about her. Like in her early days in the UFC, she was that explosive type of brawler. You could just see it in her eyes. She likes to come out there and, put on a show. But even though like the crowd is there for Molly McCann in these last few years, and you see her hitting the mats more, working on the ground game, I just haven't really seen that same Molly McCann as far as her energy. If that's all she's bringing, or just her energy, I didn't really see that. So I'm not surprised that she got finished the way she did. I thought that she would have had more success, maybe taking it back to her boxing roots with this one, because I was looking at Alexa Thainara's resume, and yeah, she has a number of finishes. She's 11-1, has a few arm bars and rear naked chokes. That can be her thing. She can strike as well. So looking at Alexa Thainara, I was like, all right, she's probably going to, try to put a lot of pressure on and get the fight to the ground, and that's what she did. Heavy leg kicks from Thainara start the fight to just kind of slow Molly McCann down and make Molly McCann think maybe she wants to strike with her. So she was hitting her with some hard leg kicks, staying in the range of Molly. Molly looked like, she was going to start jabbing to the body and, maybe working her right hand, which I thought that was going to be her money punch here on Thainara. But Thainara, she caught one of those legs of Molly, took it straight to the ground. And yeah, shout out to Molly. I mean, she was doing some effective work off her back. She was landing some hard elbows to the forehead. I mean, she did put a big knot on Thainara's head. She just doesn't have that ground game or the physical strength, because Thainara, just put a lot of pressure on top in the guard, landed a few hard shots. But it was Molly, who got a little reckless as she was trying to get back to her feet. She was giving up her back, so Thainara was on it. Thainara transitioned to a full mount, and I thought that was going to be her finish there. Get that full mount and just work some ground and pound. But Molly McCann was able to kind of squiggle out of it and try to get to her feet. But then boom, she gets this locked in right here, and Molly was doing her best to survive. She had her chin tucked, but whenever she let her right hand go, she let that leverage go, she gave up the rear naked. And I mean, she was trying to ride it out. She didn't pass out, but she finally tapped. So yeah, Thainara, she gets it done. She makes the statement. And yeah, like I was saying, Alexa Thainara has been showing like a well-rounded game. If you look at her resume, she is physically strong. Brings some intensity as far as, even with her leg kicks. But one thing I was noticing is just they were kind of slow, a little telegraph. Still a little hard to gauge where she stands. Of course, like I said, you look at her resume, you see she's finished a lot of people. So definitely want to see a little bit more from her, moving forward. Molly McCann, on the other hand, like I said, she's just not really bringing that energy anymore. So with her deciding to retire, I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Just looking at her resume now, she's 14-8. She's ending with a 14-8 resume. Lost her last two fights. That's now to Thainara and Brazil. Before that, she, like I said, came in like she had changed her game up earlier this year. She submitted Diana Belbita. But before that, she took a little break after that Stoyarenko loss. It was a brutal loss. She had lost to Stoyarenko and Aaron Blanchfield. She got submitted by both of them. And after that Stoyarenko fight, it was like she took a little break. I remember her saying something like, she didn't know if she wanted to fight anymore. It kind of mentally shook her. after that one, you know. So I already kind of had the vibe she didn't want to fight anymore, you know. And plus, you know, they didn't really have, you know, even moving down to 115, they didn't really have the caliber of fighters that she needed to continue to fight on the main card and even look good, you know, even for her audience, right? And that's one thing I'll probably talk about at some point, or even, you know, just discuss now is, you know, sometimes, you know, these fighters I talk about that, you know, they can stay around for a certain amount of time, you know, and still put on some finishes and entertaining fights. Even that'll have expiration date, you know, depending on how good the division is. Like flyweight, you might not be able to do that for too long. You know, maybe that's why Priscilla Cachoeira moved up. She said maybe I can get some more, you know, C or D level fights here and look good and get some more checks. But Molly, maybe she's running out here at 115. You see, she got a lot of well-rounded fighters. She ran out at 125, right? Can't jump in there and fight an unranked Aaron or, you know, somebody that's hungry, or even like a Stoyarenko at the time, you know. So maybe she thought at 115, you know, she could fight a few more fights and get some victories, but found out the hard way against Bruno Brazil and Thainara, right? So yeah, moving forward, you know, yeah, it was a good idea for Molly to retire because, you know, I think that's even worse sometimes when you're mentally not there. You could really get hurt in there. Just glad, you know, it wasn't like, oh, something physical, you know, because to me, I think she's still in physically good shape, but maybe, like I said, she's just not feeling it as far as like her psyche. You know, she just doesn't have that type of energy anymore, right? Thainara, like I said, still an up and comer. The resume looks good, but as we all know, there's levels to this. Still want to see more from her. Maybe tone down the, you know, the showboating and all this dancing, because that's when the losses hurt more. You know, that's when the loss. I know she's only like 27 years old. But she want to have some fun, but yeah, she got to take this thing seriously. You know, this ride to the belt is something serious, right? I mean, I know she's happy, she's probably there, but sometimes I want to see fighters kind of change that energy and be like, hey, man, like I'm gonna take full advantage of this. You know, it ain't about me just dancing and, you know, getting the crowd either hype or to boo me. You know, this is for me. You know, as a fight fan, I want to see somebody that has like a promising resume and gets a lot of finishes. I want to see them, you know, taking it seriously, wholehearted. You know, maybe she is. I mean, she does work with Ebos. You know, that's a top 15 fighter that she's working with. But along the way, man, I want to see her just, you know, stay focused. You know, because that takes a lot of energy to me. You know, trying to put on a show before you get there, before you get into the fight. To me, I know that still takes out something. I mean, that's just me though. But guys, let me know what y'all thought of the fight in comment section. Good debut. You know, short notice with Thainara to come in and just submit somebody that was more experienced right off the bat, right? And happy retirement for Molly McCann.